It should be good to go now.
Actually, got a lot more than 5 hours, man.
If y'all want to check it.
Like what? 10:58. So
Should be ready.
yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
10.
Let me refresh.
Well, it was 10.
Oh, I see the live.
There you go.
So yeah, almost
Go
like
get
In
it.
5, 4, 3. Hey everyone, and welcome to the 4th edition of the Orange and Blue Breakdown, where we bring you all things in the world of the New York Mets. I am Dave, aka Captain Caps.
I am Nick, aka Metrock.
Jay Ortiz, Mets fan since '86, at your disposal.
I'll be around on this.
Right, and before we bring you tonight's episode, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Now let's get right into it as we break down this past week and a half in Mets baseball versus the Cubs and the Pirates, and this weekend's Subway Series against the Yankees. All right, so
Boo, boo, boo.
oh yeah. All right, so we will start off with the Cubs. May 9th, the series opener. The Mets offense gets 13 hits, 4 home runs as the Mets soundly beat the Cubs 7-2. The second game, the offense was all Brett Beatty, hitting 2 home runs and driving in 5 runs, but the Mets offense does nothing else, going 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position as the Mets fall to the Cubs 6-5. And then the series finale, back and forth game before the Mets scored 4 runs in the 8th to break a 2-2 tie and beat the Cubs 6-2 as the Mets take 2 out of 3. Then we go into the series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The opener was a pitcher's duel between David Peterson and Paul Skeens. And then there was an ugly error-filled 9th inning and a walk-off by the Mets on a Pete Alonso sacrifice fly. Mets win 4-3. Second game, Brett Beatty goes at it again, breaking a 1-1 tie with the solo home run, and the Mets win 2-1. And then the finale, which I happened to go to.
Now we won. The Mets lost.
Yeah, Clay Holmes gives up a pair of 2-run homers. Nasty weather. Mets get blanked 4-0. And then we'll go on to the
David for that. It's all his fault for going to that
fault. To quote an old school Gene Snitsky.
It so was your fault. You went to the game, dude.
Hey, I got a pretty good track record. I can speak for myself. All right, moving on to the Yankees series. So the opener, well, Tyler McGill gets shelled for his 3rd straight start, and the Mets lose 6-2 to the Yankees. And then yesterday, Francisco Lindor breaks a 2-2 tie with the bases-loaded sacrifice fly in the 9th. Edwin Diaz strikes out Aaron Judge to end the game as the Mets win 3-2. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Well, taking 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs, that's big. They are one of the best teams in the National League. I give them credit where credit's due because, you know what, they got a lot of talent, but everybody thought this year it was just going to be a repeat of last year. The Brewers were going to win this division. But credit to the Cubs. They're a very good baseball team. And, you know what? Credit to the Mets, being the Cubs 2 out of 3 on Mother's Day, no less. After Luis Torrens, boy, I hope he already had kids, because after that foul ball to the groin, he ain't having any.
Okay. But, yes. Oh, both teams going into that series, neither team had lost 3 in a row, and the series opener, the Mets sent the Cubs to their 3rd straight loss, and to this day, the Mets are still the only team without a 3-game losing streak.
I'm scared to think about what comes up next weekend when we play the Dodgers. The way we're playing right now. That second game, though, Mets losing close one to the Cubs. You know, Brett Brady's been our main offense. Was our main offense in that game.
You got some word eating to do, my man.
Is all I gotta say. Man, I got some word eating to do. Why? Well, yeah. You know, I was thinking about it, and I was talking to David when Jason decided to not do the stream on Friday before the after the Subway Series.
Wow, calling me out. That's terrible. He called me out.
But
do you believe that he called me out? Literally, call me out.
Why?
But me and David were talking, and we're like, you know, what is going on here? Now we gotta think about who do we send down when Winker comes back, because he's the closest to coming back out of any of our injured players right now. Do we send down Acuna, which I don't think is a good option, because even if he doesn't play every day, late in the game you need a runner on base.
That's what I'm thinking.
And you get the run. You gotta send Acuna out there. Because he can steal a double into the gap. He's gonna score on anybody except maybe Aaron Judge.
His speed is a game changer for sure. I'm thinking a Zokar is probably the most in jeopardy. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
The Mets have experimented putting Acuna in center field, so.
But you know what? They're also experimenting with McNeil.
Right.
He's also an option, but you could also put Nimmo in center, who's been a center fielder in the majors. So you could even put Nimmo in center and McNeil in left. Because McNeil's played left field.
Alright. Well, it's going to be a crowded outfield.
The only spot he hasn't played maybe is catcher. Because I think he's in first base. I think he's played everywhere else for us at some point.
Extremely versatile. That makes him very valuable, for sure.
And he's in the lineup day in and day out, so I ain't complaining. But you know what? If Beatty keeps up the hitting, then yes, he should stay on this roster. And this is the first time I'm on the Brett Beatty fan train. Ryan Stanek also, I will admit that I was wrong about him.
I have some word eating to do myself about Ryan Stanek. He has not been scored upon in 6 appearances in May so far. So.
Now I got 6 plays and he pitching. When was the last time he pitched? I don't think he's pitched in the Subway Series, right?
I have not seen him the Subway Series, no.
Mendoza will use him tonight. Watch, regardless if they're winning or losing. He's got to get some work in.
Well, we gotta win tonight because I got $5 on the Mets winning the series.
Wait, hold on. See, every podcast we gotta do this. The Mets. So, are you betting just because of the bet, or are you betting because you're a fan and you want the dub and the $5?
Both.
That didn't sound convincing, Dave. What do you think? It didn't sound convincing.
Oh.
I'm a big Mets fan.
I don't know between this and the Pittsburgh jersey. I don't think I didn't forget about that one. I'll never forget
not
that.
To go on a,
It's not that far away from me. I'm doing the standings, but...
Not to go on a tangent, but speaking of gambling...
Oh, Lord.
Pete Rose is reinstated, thanks to being deceased.
You know what? I do not agree with Pete Rose being reinstated. I do believe that there was a horrible, horrible decision made in 1920 when they suspended Shoeless Joe.
And
I'm sorry, banned him for life, because I looked up his stats, and he had the best batting average, the most RBIs, and the only home run for the White Sox in that World Series. And you're telling me he got suspended because of the Black Sox that there was never proof that he was one of the idiots that threw the World Series.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was guilty by association, fairly or not.
Exactly. And there was never any proof because he had the best. I mean, how could you have the best batting average and the most RBIs and the only home run for your team and say the guy threw the World Series?
Yeah, that's not indicative of a player phoning it in for money.
Exactly. So, you know what? He should have been in the Hall of Fame 100 years ago. But I believe he will enter the Hall of Fame next year.
Well, at least there's Field of Dreams to help preserve his legacy for these, however, 100 years or so that he's been suspended.
May he rest in peace and know that finally justice will prevail. And he will get what he should have had 100 years ago.
All right. We also got a break.
Talking about the current New York Mets, and we gotta talk about the Subway Series. 6-2 on Friday. I was so embarrassed. I put the Knicks game on in the 6th inning.
Well, Tyler McGill, he just does not. I
was embarrassed for him. How bad do you have to be?
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this. When Sean Manaea comes back, if Miguel keeps pitching like this, you can go.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Because I can name 2 guys that are better fits for this rotation than McGill if he keeps pitching like this. Griffin Canning and Clay Holmes that have pitched better than Tyler McGill.
Yep. Well, now McGill has the highest ERA of any starter on the roster right now. Easily.
He probably has the highest ERA on any pitcher on the roster.
That's terrible.
All right, I'm gonna have to do a brief look on Baseball Reference just to check it out.
I mean, that's exaggerating. That's just wrong.
I think I'm exaggerating, but I think it might be true.
I mean, I will say this.
Oh no, sorry, Diaz hasn't. Oh no, that's Canning.
Nope, Pranic has a higher ERA now. He's been struggling too.
I think he also gave up a few runs in that game.
Yes, he gave up 2 runs in the series opener. Tyler McGill's ERA is still...
Nunez has worse, but Nunez is off the roster, so he doesn't count.
Yes, he's off the hook. And so is Blade Tidwell, whose ERA is 14.73, but that was 1 spot start, so he doesn't count either. Or Jose Urena, who got the
second highest ERA. Miguel's the second highest ERA on the Mets.
Yeah.
3.74.
Still under 4, so hopefully somewhere, some way he will turn it around. And, well, speaking of guys who are struggling...
Garrett, who's had a phenomenal start to his season.
Reed Garrett?
A 1 ERA.
Yeah, but now he's struggling to find the plate now.
Well, he's got a 1 ERA, so I ain't complaining.
Alright. Well, he's got time to figure it out and find that plate, so that's all I gotta say about Reed Garrett.
Well, now let's talk about some happy stuff. Edwin Diaz struck out Aaron Judge to win the game last night.
That was super clutch.
Last night.
Super clutch.
The so-called greatest, the second coming of Babe Ruth, went 0 for 5 last night.
Yep. And
Diaz in the league went 0 for 5 last night.
Diaz went 0-2 on on Judge, then went with 3 sliders outside. I was talking to my co-admin. You think he's going to come inside on Judge on 3 and 2? He guessed high and tight fastball, strike 3. Game over. Put in the
Somebody
books.
was watching the game, watching the ninth inning with. I said to him, the Mets should pitch around Judge. I said, I'd rather put the tying run on base than have Judge hit a home run. Because you know what? When it comes to the Yankees and Judge, you never know. Lightning might strike and Judge might hit a bomb.
Grant you.
And you know what? And when he went to 3 and 2, I said, okay, this is what's gonna happen. And you know what? I called it too. I said it's gonna be pitch high, fastball, inside. Sure enough, inside pitch, strike 3 call, Mets win. And I just want to point one more. I want to point out one thing. Judge went out for 5 yesterday. He struck out 3 of those 5 at bats.
Hat trick.
You know, I love it when Judge can hit.
Yes. Seeing him strike out to end the game was absolutely extra icing on the cake. And did you see the post game where Jerry Blevins was declaring that Edwin Diaz was fully back?
I mean, I think he's. I didn't see post game, but he's getting there. He's what, 9 for 9 now?
10 for 10.
10 for 10, even better.
This was the best he looked all season.
And I want to say this: Aaron Judge is 2 for 9 on the series.
Yes.
With 4 strikeouts.
Sure. Yep. Gotta keep up the good work. Gotta keep on.
Who we sending them
do their thing.
Sir?
What's up?
We're sending who? Peterson tonight?
Peterson tonight. And he doesn't have much of a track record against the Yankees. He's made 3 appearances, 2 starts. Career ERA is over 6. But that's in very limited experience against the Yankees, and he's a different pitcher now. He's
actually pitching a lot better than what he's been doing for the last. This year he's a different pitcher. Okay, the Yankees are nuts. Are they trying to wake up Goldschmidt? Because he's leading off tonight.
Goodness. Well, I guess he is batting well over 300, so I suppose that's their strategy, to put their best hitter on at leadoff, I guess.
You know what? Since we are doing a preview of tonight's game, which we've never done before on this podcast, what is it, 4th edition? I'll run through our lineup and the Yankees lineup for tonight. Leading off, playing shortstop as always, Francisco Lindor. Batting second, playing right field, the most hated man for the Yankee fans, Juan Soto. Batting third, playing first base, my favorite player and the guy that's on the back of this jersey, Pete Alonso. Batting third, and this guy better wake up or he's going down to the minor leagues, Mark Vientos.
Well, speaking of Mark Vientos, to be fair, he had been coming into the series batting, 375 over his last 6 games, so I'm not worried about Vientos. It's just the Mets as a whole is not coming through with runners in scoring position. So I've said it before, but Vientos is not one of our problems.
Batting fifth, playing left field, you got Brendan Nimmo. Batting sixth, and in the DH spot, Starling Marte. Batting seventh, playing catcher, Francisco Alvarez. Batting eighth, playing center field, Jeff McNeil. And batting ninth, and maybe the second coming of fast as lightning, Jose Reyes. Playing second base, Luis Abel Acuna. And on the mound, Mets is David Peterson. You know, this really could be our 1 through 9 day in and day out.
Yes. Yes.
Because the Mets could really do with Brett Beatty what they did with Iglesias last year. Put him in the 9th inning for defense.
Well, if he keeps hitting the way he has lately, they're gonna have no choice but to put him in the lineup every day.
That would work too. I mean, we could move Vientos to the DH spot and move Marte out of the lineup.
Yeah, Marte might be possibly DFA because he's been shown no signs of coming out of it. He's batting
Actually,
under
he's
200.
more RBIs than Alvarez right now, so.
Yeah. And
we'll go through this Yankees lineup.
I'll let you go there.
Batting first, playing first base, Paul Goldschmidt. Batting second, playing center field, Trent Grisham.
Yep.
Wasn't there 2 Grishams at one point? I forgot the other guy's name. Batting third, who is 2 for 9 on the series, and with 4 strikeouts, I said.
I don't remember, but he struck out 3 times last night. Yeah, even yesterday afternoon.
I think he struck out once on Friday. And 4 strikeouts, Aaron Judge playing right field, batting fourth, and playing left field, the guy that drove in the only 2 runs yesterday for the Yankees, Cody Bellinger. Batting fifth and playing shortstop, Anthony Volpe. Batting sixth and playing DH, Jason Dominguez. Batting seventh and playing second base, DJ LeMahieu. Batting eighth and catching, Austin Wells. Batting ninth, playing third base, is it Oswaldo Pereira? Oswald Peraza. You know,
You're cutting off.
oh,
But I'll finish off with who's pitching against the Mets. That
who's
would be
pitching is Max Fried.
yes, Max Fried, and he is no stranger to the Mets, having a 9-5 record, and I believe McNeil and Soto both have a career lifetime average of over 300 against Max Fried. So
that explains why McNeil's in the lineup.
yes.
Alright, so you know what? My personal opinion, if Peterson can find a way to do what Edwin Diaz did last night and just not give him anything to hit early on in the count, maybe the Mets can find a way to win this game. What do you guys think?
I say Peterson's got to bring his A game here. Any chances we have against Fried, the way we've been failing to get runners in from scoring position, I think we're going to have to play some small ball, put in some squeeze bunts. Hopefully, Acuna can get on base and raise some hell on the base paths. But we gotta make something happen.
Acuna's batting what, 9th?
Yes, correct.
He gets on base, and you're gonna have to worry about him and Lindor.
Yeah.
Oh man. You know, they're gonna have to start raising at some point because Lindor's batting is hitting great. and so is Alonso, just overall this season. What about... They might have to start realizing maybe we should start pitching to Soto instead of not pitching to him and going after these two guys, because they're not weak. You've done it through the first 2 months, and the Mets have the best record in baseball, and Soto's not even our strongest hitter right now.
Yep. That said, it's a long season, and right now the Mets are really struggling at the plate to score runs. So
They are, but you know what? Small ball and one or two runs has... We won games with not a lot of run support, but that's because of our great pitching.
point well taken.
Except for Tyler McGill, who I want to kill.
Well, no comment on Miguel.
You know, I'm ready to throw him out of our rotation, maybe put him in the bullpen where he can't hurt us every day, every time he pitches. But Peterson, you gotta do something against the Yankees. You cannot let Judge beat you. And Bellinger, you got Belly behind. Oh boy. I don't know what's worse. You gotta face Judge or Bellinger.
Well,
Back to back.
this Yankee lineup is a very long lineup. They are.
I wouldn't say through 6 is scary. You get to the bottom of the order, I'm not as scared of Wells and Peraza.
Right.
So 1 through 7 is very scary on the Yankees lineup. Because if you get Goldie out, you still gotta deal with Grisham and Judge.
Right.
And
yeah,
then if
and
you
Judge
want
ain't
to
still ain't no picnic even with that 0-5.
No, Judge ain't no picnic even if he was 0 for 23.
Right.
He's a picnic when it comes to postseason because Judge kind of cowers into a corner during the postseason. I mean, I will say I did not root for the Yankees in the World Series. I actually didn't care who won the World Series. Because I didn't like the Yankees and I didn't like the Dodgers.
Yeah, I didn't like either team either, so.
But you know, I should have put money on that World Series because I called that right down the middle.
Nice. But if I had to choose, I would have picked.
Let's go into the next series, which is the Boston Red Sox starting on Monday.
Oh, yes.
Another, you know, I complained about this to you guys earlier in the week. I said, why did MLB do this, that we have to face the Red Sox and the Dodgers right after we get through a tough series with the Yankees?
Well,
like, who thought when we were doing the Mets schedule that they were like, oh, let's make it hard for them in May. Give them easy opponents to start the year. Let's make it hard for them in May. Put the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Dodgers 1, 2, 3.
Well, for the most part, each team in our division in the NL East is going to have to face the same caliber of competition, so
yeah, but
I'd say we just get it out of the way and then hopefully smooth sailing onwards.
So, starting off in the Red Sox series tomorrow night, we got Kodai Senga going up against Dobbins. Dobbins with a 2-1 record and a 3.90 ERA. You know what? Fenway Park is, you know what? People say Fenway Park isn't a hitter's ballpark, but it really could be.
Who said it's not a hitter's ballpark? You got the green monster to just line drives off of, and then got the pesky pulling right.
Now, this ballpark, you gotta hit a 500-foot home run just to get it over the monster seats.
Well, you could just hit a go on a 2-bag fest.
Pole. But you know what? It might help Soto with pesky pulling, right? It's very pesky. Catch the joke there?
All right.
But you know what? We also got the best pitcher on the Mets rotation right now going in game 1, so I feel good about our chances with Senga going. Tuesday, you got Clay Holmes, who's coming off a very rocky start his last time out against the Pirates. You know, I didn't touch base on it much. I predicted the Mets were going to win 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. But I actually thought the loss was going to be Polsky's. I thought that was the game we were going to lose. I didn't think we were winning that game. Because of just how good he is.
Right.
But the Mets fought him, and they got the job done. I'm not complaining at all. When we beat Polsky's, I was like, maybe we'll sweep the Pirates. And then Clay Holmes gives up 4 runs. And
well, to be fair, the Mets didn't put on a single run. They got shut out.
And then in game 3 of the series, we got McGill, who might be his last start of the year, depending on how well this game goes for him, against a former White Sox, Garrett Crochet, who's got a 2 ERA this year and a 4-3 record.
For sure.
You know, I gotta ask, what is it with players that leave crap teams, pardon my language, and come to good teams and all of a sudden they play great? You know who I'm talking about in the Mets, right? Griffin Canning. 5-1 record. I mean, he came from an Angels team that just sucked year in, year out, and comes to the Mets, and he's got a 5-1 record.
It could be a tweak to the mechanics thanks to different coaching.
Or maybe just the atmosphere is different. I mean, Citi Field's been packed every game of the season so far.
Winning does get contagious. I'll say that.
And you know what? There is another team that dons the orange and the blue that that shocked the world this past Friday night and actually made the Mets look not interesting because of how well they played. For the first time in 25 years, the New York Knicks are headed to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they will face the Indiana Pacers. I mean, wow, what a game. Jason was live streaming it. And, you know, I was watching the Mets game with my uncle, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I believed in him. I was like, we're going to come back. We're going to win this game. By the 6th inning, I was like, okay, watch out the next game. But the next game on, and they were up by 40. I'm like, but you know, with the Celtics, you never know. Like in an instant, they could come back.
They could just make a dozen 3-pointers in a row and go on a crazy run, and then
Exactly.
yeah. But the Mets, I mean the Knicks, they're just relentless.
When the Browns fouled out, when Brown fouled out of the game, I was like, it's over. Knicks are going to the finals. Because their best player was out.
Man.
And you know what? I told a coworker this and a customer this. I said, the Knicks find a way to beat the Celtics. They're winning the NBA Finals. They're going to be the next champions. And since we're live streaming this, I'm putting it on the record that my official prediction Knicks win the NBA title this year.
Bold prediction, but they did knock off the Celtics, the defending
They
champions.
did knock off the Celtics.
Yep.
If anybody is the favorite right now, I know everybody's saying the Thunder is the favorites to win. Because the Celtics are out. Screw the Thunder.
Alright. That's it.
I'm saying Knicks in 5 games against the Pacers.
Any new injury updates for the Mets?
Let me take a look. Did I hear something about the Mets, that Mania was gonna get ready for a rehab assignment soon?
I think he was thrown off a mound, but as far as a rehab assignment, I haven't heard anything. I do know that Ronnie Mauricio is on a rehab assignment, as well as Paul Blackburn.
Paul Blackburn could be ready by the earliest of June. He's already made 6 rehab assignments. They're just looking to slot him in when they need the 6th starter. So that'll probably be when they play the White Sox next week, right? I think they got 4 games against the White Sox.
Could it be a possibility if McGill gets rocked against the Red Sox? He's going to get yanked, and then Blackburn gets put in his spot?
Oh no, I'm sorry. First week of June, the Mets have 10 games straight without a day off. They play the Rockies at home, then they go to LA and Colorado to play the Dodgers and the Rockies again. So he could be up earliest as that week. Their next day off is until after the last game against the Rockies. So Blackburn will be back probably then. I mean, Mania's got to be going soon, right? For rehab?
Should be. Let me look.
He could start facing hitters late in the week of May 19th, so hopefully this week he'll start facing hitters.
All right. That's an
pretty
encouraging
good.
sign.
Who else? Jose Siri was playing catch, working in the hitting cage, and doing light sprints as of May 10th. Winker, nothing on him. Brooks Raley, was drawing regular bullpen sessions.
But he's also on a 60-day DL and is not eligible to come off until June 28th.
I mean, that's still something, at least.
Right.
Yeah, that's it on injuries.
All right.
Oh, wait, news update on Mauricio.
I heard he went to AAA?
He went to AAA. And he's off the IL.
Oh, nice. So it's just a matter of him getting called up.
He should be here soon.
Right.
Probably want to give him a little bit of time, but the only recommendation I can give to running Mauricio and all Met players, don't do the World Baseball Classic next year.
Well, I think some of our guys are they're going.
Yeah, I know, Soto, I'm gonna kill him. I swear, if somebody gets hurt, it derailed our season the last time.
Right, and it took Edwin Diaz until about now to be fully back?
Yeah. And you know what? We were contenders then, and because we lost our closer for the year, everything just went awry from there. Mauricio got hurt in Winter Bowl in 2023. Now, granted, it didn't hurt us because we went all the way to Game 6 of the 2024 LCS. So, I'm not saying that it would have helped us to have him, because congrats to the Dodgers, but I'm ready for a healthy lineup day in and day out. Winker comes back hopefully soon. Mania comes back. We say goodbye to Tyler McGill because I think he's going to be the odd man out. What do you think, Jason?
He probably gets sit down to AAA.
Well, yeah, he'll get sent down to AAA. But you can't Canning because he's had too good of a year so far.
But anything can happen between then and now. Tyler can go on the surge and Cannon can drop. But
well, yeah, that's what would have to happen. But if you look right now, McGill's the one that's going down.
anything can happen.
But you know what? That's going to do it for us. I think because we're not doing who's hot, who's not, because everybody's...
Well, we do have
categories.
some historical moments from this past week and a half. So I'll go through these real quick. May 10th, 2000, Ricky Henderson has his 10,000th career at bat. May 11th, 1972, the Mets trade for Willie Mays. And May 14th of that year, Mays makes his Mets debut, hitting a go-ahead solo homer. May 15th, 2014, Jacob deGrom makes his major league debut against the Yankees, no less. May 16th, 1983, Darryl Strawberry hits his first career home run.
And you know what? I just want to talk about that Jacob deGrom thing. It was a historical night that night. It was the beginning of a new era, and it was an end of an era. Because that same night was Derek Jeter's final Subway Series game. Because he retired.
So.
I mean, you know what? Just to add one more thing into rub it in your guys' faces. I was there. May 15th, 2014.
You saw deGrom's first
serial start. In person.
Well, thankfully I got to see about 5-6 career starts from deGrom in the upcoming years, thankfully.
I just want to rub it into Jason when he comes back. Jacob deGrom made his debut. And it was for no less, I just want to point that out. He lost the game.
Even though he went 8 innings.
No, he went 7 in that game. He lost 8 innings on his anniversary.
Oh, man.
Jay, I don't know if you heard, but we were talking about things in Mets history, and he mentioned the Jacob deGrom debut. I was like, just to rub it in a little bit, I was at that game when he faced the Yankees in his major league debut.
He's a hell of a pitcher, still is.
And you know what? It was my first ever Subway Series game that I ever went to. I went to 3 more after that.
I went to 1 in 2018. It was at Citi Field.
Oh, sorry. 4 more. I went in 14, 15, 16, 17, and I went on the September 11th anniversary celebration in 2021. Wow.
Was that the night when George hit 3 home runs?
The day before.
Oh, wow.
It was the one that the Mets almost won.
Gotcha.
But lost.
Yeah. Well, at least you enjoyed yourself in Subway Series. Mine was a terrible time. The Mets lost. Yankee fans practically took over the stadium yelling, "Let's go Yankees," on their way out. I was like, I am never going to a Yankee Mets Subway Series game ever again.
Hey, listen, it could have been worse. You could have been to the 2009 series when Castillo dropped the ball.
Oh, that brutal.
You know what? When he got injured later on in the year when he fell down the stairs. I was like, karma's a bitch, isn't it? I was like, you got what you deserved.
Why do we think LOL Mets is a thing? Hopefully that's a thing of the past, but
Yeah, you would think, right? It still hurts 16 years after it happened.
oh, that's like something that makes me want to rip my eyes out.
Eyes out. And you know what? Even better, and I just want to mention this. Mets win tonight. We could have a very happy recap from you. And stay tuned for... When are we going live again?
Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday works for me.
Hopefully we'll bring you a happy recap exclusive
And
to the
hopefully
Discord group
we'll have
and
dinner.
also exclusive to my Facebook group, New York Mets Forevermore. For all of those members who are watching, how you doing, y'all?
And Jason is back. Jason, any last comments before we sign off to go watch the Mets kick the Yankees' ass?
Nope. Tune in next Thursday.
All right.
Yes.
And with that, that's it for this edition of the Orange and Blue Breakdown. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Again, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. For Nick,
aka Mets Rock.
for Jason,
You already know who I am.
aka
They already know.
yeah, no introduction needed.
So Jason.
I am Dave, aka Captain Caps, and we will talk to you again on Thursday. Until then, let's go Mets.
Let's go, man.
Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets.